Hello, cricket lovers, and welcome to another instalment of Winsto Wonders. We've covered parenting and coaching of this great game, and today we take a closer look at Winston Hills Cricket Club. From dodgy playing surfaces and buckled pads, Koen has nearly seen it all. Our fearless president gives us a 10-minute insight into Winston Hills Cricket. Thanks again to our friends at Manor Real Estate, diamond sponsors of the club. Give them a call for all your real estate questions. But for now, sit back, relax, and wander away. Have you ever wondered how Winsto cricket all began? Who were the pioneers, and how has this great club grown over the years? Well, joining me today is president of the club, Koen. Thanks for your time, Greg.
Not a problem at all, Justin. Happy to join in.
How long have you been involved in Winston Hills cricket?
My association goes back to 1982, when I was not long out of juniors, really. That was when I first played with Winsto. The club I'd played for from school days was the Lavalla Bowling Club Cricket Club, for quite a mouthful. We merged, and from 82, I started wearing this.
Fantastic. Well, you're now the president. We've just heard that you started out as a player. Have you had any other roles, and how long have you been the president?
In reverse order, I had to hit the yearbooks. I've been president for 25 years, which seems to have gone in a flash. Yeah, my involvement with the club started as a player, and then slowly morphed into coaching a few junior teams, some under-16s teams. I think the point when the boys start becoming a bit of a handful, I go and bowl unnecessarily short of juniors, for which I'm sorry. Look, played, captained very badly. Sat my umpire's ticket many moons ago. But on the committee, I'd been registrar for a year or two, senior secretary for a small number of years. And then as we do all sorts of things within the club, I've been the MC for our presentation night for about 20 years. Been doing our yearbook for the last two, which is, it sounds like a burden. It's actually great to read everybody's reports. So yeah, I've done quite a few things for the club.
Yeah, that's great. Well, can you throw some names of the inaugural members, where it all began?
Well, when the club began in '78, I was not yet playing senior cricket, so I'm relying on the recollections of a few people. And one of the life members that we came to recognise Ray's service a good few years after he had a direct involvement with the club. But Ray Deeds was an absolutely essential person to get the club up and running. Fundraising used to be hard in Winston Hills. He ran casino nights. He did a lot of things to raise funds because we don't have a parent club at all. And Ray's son, Michael, approached us after many years. He also coached, was a junior and a senior with us, and his name is now on one of the girls' end of year trophies, which is a fantastic thing. One of the other names from my dark past, who still has an involvement with cricket in Parramatta, is Ken Bacon, and Ken was very senior in the Parramatta District Umpires Association. He was one of my very first very tolerant captains. And his son Ben was our senior secretary for a number of years, also a player. So the Bacons are names that go back to the start. But to be honest, many of the people from the early days, Bob Head was somebody who was very heavily involved with the club, our very first life member. But a lot of the names have just either left the district or stopped having a year-on-year association with the club.
I imagine quite a lot has changed over the years that you've been involved. Can you give us a real short snapshot of some of the major things that have developed over time for Winston Hills Cricket?
I think the fruits of our labour, working hard with this year's, it's called the various junior master blaster programs, the years and years we've spent trying to get very young people into our pipeline and to get girls to play. The biggest growth by far is our the girls' cricket. We would always have, it'd be sporadic. We'd have one or two girls that would play with their brothers, but then that would peter out because there was really nowhere for them to go. So one of the biggest things is clearly women's cricket within Parramatta. I think luckily we've worked very hard for years. That's one of the biggest changes. But thinking about some of the other changes, when you think of how feeble the equipment was when I first began playing, helmets were not mandatory, they were not commonplace. Velcro pads, just standard for a few decades, we had buckles. We didn't play on AstroTurf. We played on Koya matting, although once in my very early days, we played on an appalling thing called Malthoid, which is a very thick aluminium foil with an asphalty glue underneath and an asphalty glue on top. Absolutely appalling. I've seen a few things.
Look, Greg, I imagine with a club of this size now, we have quite a number of teams. And our history, you said, was 78, it all began. So we're over 40 years. Has anyone gone on to represent at elite levels?
Probably the name that went furthest as a junior was Greg Mail. If Greg, you should see this video. I apologise for stumbling over your actual title, but I believe he's head of cricket with Cricket New South Wales. Greg played with us and then played grade in the afternoon, so he never turned out as a senior, and then went on to play Sheffield Shield. I looked at his stats recently, and he played hundreds of games at first grade. Yeah, Greg is probably our most accomplished alumnus.
Very good. Well, a lot of people talk about the culture at Winston Hills Cricket Club and how great it is. Can you give us some insight into where it came from and how it's been established over the years?
That's a difficult one to be completely sure of. I think thinking back to the history of the club, where we were a community-based organisation, no funds. It's not like we had a feeder club from one of the big leagues clubs or the big RSLs. We weren't linked to a high school or anything like that. So we didn't have the classic backing of many people and money and facilities. So I think, given that we were doing it for ourselves, we had to do it by ourselves. I think the volunteer ethos goes back very much to day one. And for years and years and years, we've had people make sure that, I don't know whether it's peculiar to Winsto, but we like to make sure that when people come into the club, they're welcome. This is your family. I think that's probably some of the most moving things I've ever had said to me about the club, that I feel like I'm home. I think the sense of we've had to do it for ourselves, and ourselves means our players. We're not here to win trophies. We don't play in the Shires. So it's very much about participation. And I think everything we do or try to do speaks to that.
Yeah. And I guess that means a whole bunch of our viewers are to thank for that ongoing culture of volunteering and being a family club and making new players feel welcome. So well done to all of you who are listening out there.
Indeed. Look, 100% agreement, Justin. I think the real strength of the club is we all gather around a field and we watch 11 people in black and orange do their thing. But there's so many people who come along to support midweek at training sessions, around semi-final time and grand final time, when you see all the uncles and aunts and nanas and pops, or whatever you call your grandparents. They turn up and the ground is surrounded with supporters, just not wanting to win, wanting you to participate, have fun, and do your best on the day. Thanks to everybody that turns up and helps us and just enjoys what we do.
Now, it's not often that people get an audience with the president. So can you give us any sort of exclusive of something exciting or some changes that might be coming up we haven't heard of yet?
Well, one man's excitement might be another man's immediate sense of boredom. One of the things that not a lot of people will be aware of in the club, the cricket club has been an auxiliary for many years of the Winston Hills Sports Club, just like soccer and netball and little athletics. And being auxiliaries of the sports club, they would take out the insurances that we needed. I don't believe we've ever had to sue anybody. We've never had to defend ourselves. But the parent sports club was there while all the auxiliaries properly got on their feet, be able to operate independently. And about a year ago, I think the decision was made that their role was becoming redundant. So the parent club is going through a liquidation process. And so that Winsto Cricket Group can be properly protected for personal insurance and management liability for our committee, we're going through an incorporation process, which is all very boring and backroom type stuff. But one of the things which will be a real force multiplier for us is that a proportion of the funds that the sports club have been managing for years, that will come to us. And one of the things that will allow us to do is have an even stronger ability to be independent. Have your own money in your own pocket is a powerful thing. Money equals options. Yep. And as we get closer to incorporation, I'm sure we'll tell the rest of the membership what that really means on a day-to-day basis. I still wear orange. We go to the same place to play cricket. We still play with our mates. Many things won't change, but the ability to fund a really good idea or take up a new initiative, that becomes real one day soon.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Greg, we're nearly out of time. So is there one final message you'd love to send out to all of those listening in the Winston Hills Cricket community family?
If you had a suspicion that cricket was the best team game for a junior, you're in the majority. That's what I think. I think there's something magic. There's some weird gravity that we're exerting upon one another to make sure that we play good, fair cricket. We get better. We respect our mates. We respect our opposition. And some of the things I see that the absolute spirit of cricket and the way the girls play, the way our juniors play, whatever it is that draws you to us, thank you. And it really does a very old cricketer a lot of good to know that there are like-minded people who still think cricket is the apex sport in Australia.
Yeah, I might take this opportunity to thank you too, Greg, from everyone involved in the club for your presidency over a long period of time. And let's keep going onward and upward.
Push on, bat on.
Thanks for your time today.
Not a problem at all, Justin. Thank you.
Bye.